All right.
Okay.
My name is Fleming Bruce. I am the state coordinator of Black Voters Matter South Carolina, and we are working just as Alabama and Georgia is working to make sure that we have candidates who address the issues of communities, black communities, working communities, brown communities, and make sure that we pick those great candidates. So I'm here today with my longtime friend, Kyle Lacio. Longtime friend. We've worked with the Democratic Party together. We've worked Occupy Columbia together. Sleeping in tents and all of this sort of thing, suing the governor. And I wanted to make sure that people knew that he's not just another face. He's somebody who's really been paying attention to the issues. He's been engaged in the issues. He's been on the ground doing the work. And that's the kind of person that we need. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about your work in South Carolina that people should know about?
Well, I like to mention that I was a regional field director on the Obama campaign because, it was a pretty exciting job to have, getting people out to vote. I was mostly assigned in Abbeville and Greenwood, South Carolina, but yeah, like you said, I was with Occupy. I actually had a job with Greenpeace for a little while. I organized recall election in Wisconsin for Scott Walker. But yeah, I've worked a lot with the Progressive Network here in South Carolina. I'm on the executive committee of the Democratic Party.
Now, why would those things make you a better senator than somebody who had not been on the Congress?
I think knowing people, knowing connection, knowing who to reach out for. When an issue comes up, I have a lot of people I would call on to say, what can we do about this? I know that I've been out there protesting from the State House, and I've seen that you don't have a lot of representatives come out there and ask, how can we take action? And
that is true.
And I would be a senator that would come out there and say, let's do something, and I'll take the mic and speak out about this myself, and I'll be a voice to you, reaching out to the Speaker of the House and the Senate and saying, we need to do this, and we need to find some compromise on this bill and get this put in. Right now the governor has vetoed Medicaid, family planning money. And we need senators in there that are saying, this is losing money for our state. We need senators in there that are organizing the votes and pushing to get a vote on that to override the veto. It's going to take two-thirds of the House and Senate, and that's going to require a real effort. But when you're talking about $16 million, and you're talking about personal issues affecting voters, I think that's a lot of votes that Republican or Democrat, none of those representatives want to lose those votes.
Well, what do you think about now this community here that we're in? St. John is right across the street there. The Catherine Belfield Center is in this area. What are some of the things that you think you would be able to do to assist people in this particular community? The average person.
Oh yeah, we need to look out for regular people. If you drive around this neighborhood right here, you see a lot of roads that haven't been repaired. Apparently, the more successful people like to focus on their own neighborhoods and they forget about other neighborhoods. There's been talk in the state newspaper today about a neighborhood wanting to move from Richland 2 to Richland 1. And I say, well, why don't we invest in making Richland 2 better? Instead of hiring your own lobbyist and trying to move your neighborhood.
Right.
We need, teachers got a 1% raise. I looked at the South Carolina Education Association page of what they said. We need a higher starting pay for teachers. We need to give them faster promotions early in their career so they don't leave. Education is a big opportunity builder.
And we just saw LeBron James invest all that money in education, so he knows how important it is.
He's a hero, but there's a lot of multimillionaires and billionaires Donald Trump, for example, not paying enough taxes, and we need to be unafraid to go after them and say, pay your fair share and invest that money in our community, invest in infrastructure. I was just talking about roads, but infrastructure goes well beyond that. We need to make sure we have cell phone coverage in rural areas. We need to make sure we have the fastest internet in the world. And, when we're talking about programs to help the poor and the working class, they don't cost that much to invest in. It's like, what happened to our heart? Taking care of our neighbors.
Right.
I find it interesting that we find the money for wars and for tax cuts and for very expensive, corporate bailouts and bonuses for executives, but, little kids need food, health care should be a human right. We can fund it.
Yeah.
We just need to get our priorities right. We need to elect. What I see is there's way too much greed in politics and not enough empathy. Mm-hmm. We need to elect compassionate people that have a heart.
I agree. Now, what do you think? Because last week I went into Manning Correctional Institution. I went there with a couple of other folks who are trying to engage voters and get voters registered. And we talked about some of the things that people need that are people coming out of the prison system, what things that they need. So how could you as a senator assist those people who are in prison, who are coming out of prison, and the families of those people who have loved ones incarcerated?
So criminal justice reform, I think, is a civil rights movement of our time. We got to hold police accountable for shooting people in the back, for one, but we have to end the war on drugs. The war on drugs has been a miserable failure. One of my issues I push is legalizing marijuana. It's broadly popular. It works in Colorado. Why can't we do it? We have, I think, about a third of our prisoners are nonviolent offenders. They would be better served being released on parole, some kind of work release program. And we're locking people up for not paying child support. It's not helping the child support getting paid. So we need to end mass incarceration. We need to end the for-profit prisons. This is a very complex issue. There's a lot of different avenues of it. One thing we have in South Carolina, we have a bill that requires police departments to report statistics when they pull people over. And the fact is they haven't been giving us all the information they're supposed to be giving us. We need a senator pushing on that and saying, we need the information. Information can lead to knowing what's going on and getting results. I mean, there's a lot of white supremacists that are cops.
Yeah.
We need to find those people and remove them.
Right.
We need, like I said, we need to prosecute criminal cops, but we also need to give cops the ability to stop focus on crimes that aren't really crimes. There's victimless crimes, a lot of times they're called.
Yeah.
And also I think another issue that police deal with, if we expanded universal health care, one of the things police have to deal with is by not having mental health care, by not having a good drug, people that are in drug addiction programs, fully funding those programs would alleviate a lot of the pressure on police, because police a lot of times happen to be social workers. And as social workers, sometimes they do a good job and sometimes they get angry and shoot people and arrest people, and you get these in and out of jail. And the in and out of jail, I think, is a failure of our system, because jail should be about helping people, rehabilitating people, giving them the training and education they need so they get out and they're successful.
Yeah.
But instead, we're releasing people with the same tools that got them in jail, and we're surprised that they go right back to jail.
Yeah, and we talked a lot about that with the people who are organizing on behalf of newly released prisoners, newly released people who are out of prison.
Yeah, I forgot to mention there's a prison strike that's being organized in a few weeks.
Yeah.
And they're pushing.
Yeah, so the conditions are of concern, but also when people come out, the ability to get jobs, the ability to have access to housing and transportation.
So I support this ban the box. This idea that when you're applying for a job, well, you did this thing when you were 18 years old, and it's going to follow you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And the bail issue too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some bits of concern about getting rid of it. So I think that movement is going to happen.
Yeah, well, we have debtor's prison. You can't afford You can't afford your bail, you can't afford your ticket, now you're going to jail. No, that's a system that we supposedly got rid of a long time ago, but it's obviously coming back and working our way into a justice system. I mean, we're locking people up for being poor. I mean, the largest reason, and what's interesting is we see worse crimes that affect lots of people. I mean, you can go and rob a bank and go to jail, but if you run the bank and rob from all the customers, somehow you never go to jail. And I think we need to start enforcing white collar crime, which is more damaging for our communities.
Yes, I agree. And finally, what's the difference between your being an average person and a senator? What will you be able to do as a senator that you can't do, just for ordinary people who aren't following politics? What can you do as a senator that you can't do as an ordinary person, that you can't do as an activist?
So right now, we have our current, well, he stepped down, but he's Republican.
Yeah.
So that would be one more Democrat keeping the current administration in check. A senator can block bills, they can add amendments. I would be on a committee where I can work specifically on bills that are within my committee. I can propose bills. As a Democrat, I'm a big advocate for, we have a platform that's very solid and we don't see a lot of Democrats pushing this platform forward. I would be pushing the things on the platform, and I would be listening to voters, and people come up to people came up to talk to me. I'd say, well, I want to meet with you. I'll come over to your house and let's sit down and write a bill. Try to get some lawyers working on this, because I don't necessarily have all the lawyer language, but I'm sure we have enough supporters within that community to get that done. One of the things that I'd like to do, because I've been talking a lot about the SCNG thing, I want to see a full refund from them. I want to go after.
Everybody's affected by SCNG.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people talk about it, but I haven't heard any politicians say, I'm going after them for a full refund. And what makes me wonder, well, who are you being lobbied by? Because I'm against the Dominion deal. I think the Dominion deal is a bad deal for ratepayers.